Picture this. You've been eating clean for months, hitting the gym religiously, getting your 8 hours of sleep, and yet when you get your blood work back, your testosterone levels are still sitting in the basement. Sound familiar? You're not alone. And today, I'm going to reveal why your so-called healthy diet might actually be sabotaging your hormones in ways you never imagined. What I'm about to share with you goes against everything the fitness industry has been telling you about nutrition and testosterone. We're talking about hidden dietary landmines that are quietly crushing your male hormones even when you think you're doing everything right. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why your testosterone is stuck in neutral and what you can do to finally break through that hormonal ceiling. Let me start with a story that perfectly illustrates this problem. Last year, I worked with a client named Marcus, who was the poster child for clean eating. This guy was religious about his diet. Quinoa bowls, green smoothies packed with spinach and kale, lean chicken breast, brown rice, and enough vegetables to stock a farmer's market. He avoided processed foods like the plague, never touched fast food, and read every nutrition label with the intensity of a scientist. But here's where things got interesting. When Marcus came to me, his testosterone levels were hovering around 280 nanograms per deciliter. For reference, that's barely above what doctors consider clinical deficiency. This guy was 32 years old, hitting the weights 4 times a week, and eating what every nutrition guru on Instagram would call the perfect diet. So, what was going wrong? The answer lies in understanding that testosterone production is an incredibly complex biochemical process that requires specific nutrients in specific ratios. Your body doesn't just magically produce testosterone because you're avoiding junk food. Let's dive into the first major problem with most clean diets. They're often severely lacking in dietary cholesterol and saturated fat. Now, before you start panicking about heart disease, hear me out. Cholesterol is literally the building block of testosterone. Your body uses cholesterol as the starting material to create all steroid hormones, including testosterone. When you strip cholesterol from your diet in pursuit of being healthy, you're essentially removing the foundation your body needs to build testosterone. The same goes for saturated fat. Research has consistently shown that men who consume higher amounts of saturated fat have significantly higher testosterone levels than those who follow low-fat diets. A study published in the Journal of Steroid Biochemistry found that when men reduce their fat intake from 40% to 25% of total calories, their testosterone levels dropped by an average of 12%. That's not a small change. That's a hormonal disaster. But here's where it gets even more insidious. Many people following clean diets load up on foods that are actively working against their hormonal health. Soy products are a perfect example. Soy contains compounds called isoflavones, which are phytoestrogens, plant-based compounds that can mimic estrogen in your body. When you're consuming soy milk, tofu, tempeh, or even protein bars with soy protein isolate on a regular basis, you're potentially tipping your hormonal balance away from testosterone production. The research on this is compelling. A study in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that men consuming 56 grams of soy protein per day for 4 weeks experienced a significant decrease in testosterone levels. Now, 56 grams might sound like a lot, but when you consider that a single serving of some plant-based protein powders contains 25 to 30 grams of soy protein, it's easier to hit these levels than you might think. Then there's the fiber problem that nobody talks about. Yes, fiber is important for digestive health, but there's such a thing as too much of a good thing. Excessive fiber intake can bind to hormones in your digestive tract and escort them right out of your body before they can be reabsorbed and utilized. This is particularly problematic for testosterone, which relies on a process called enterohepatic circulation to maintain optimal levels. When Marcus tracked his fiber intake, he was consuming nearly 60 grams per day from all those vegetables, whole grains, and legumes he thought were optimizing his health. Research suggests that fiber intake above 35 to 40 grams per day can start to interfere with hormone absorption and metabolism. His well-intentioned clean eating was literally flushing his testosterone down the drain. Another massive oversight in most healthy diets is the lack of organ meats and nutrient-dense animal proteins. Our ancestors understood something we've forgotten. The organs of animals contain concentrated amounts of the nutrients needed for optimal hormone production. Liver, for example, is packed with vitamin A, B vitamins, zinc, and other cofactors essential for testosterone synthesis. Modern clean diets tend to focus on lean cuts of meat like chicken breast and fish, which are certainly healthy, but lack the nutrient density of organ meats. When you're only eating muscle meat, you're missing out on nutrients like coenzyme Q10, vitamin K2, and specific forms of B vitamins that are crucial for hormonal health. Zinc deficiency is another silent killer of testosterone that's surprisingly common even among health-conscious individuals. Zinc is involved in literally hundreds of enzymatic reactions in your body, including several that are critical for testosterone production. The problem is that many foods considered healthy can actually inhibit zinc absorption. Phytic acid, found in high concentrations in whole grains, legumes, and nuts, binds to zinc and other minerals, making them less bioavailable. If you're following a plant-heavy diet with lots of these foods, you might be consuming adequate zinc on paper but absorbing very little of it in practice. This is why traditional cultures often soaked, fermented, or sprouted these foods before consuming them to reduce anti-nutrient content and improve mineral absorption. Let's talk about meal timing and frequency, because this is where many clean eaters unknowingly sabotage their hormones. The trend toward frequent small meals throughout the day might be great for blood sugar management, but it's terrible for testosterone production. Testosterone follows a natural rhythm that peaks in the morning and gradually declines throughout the day. This rhythm is supported by periods of fasting and feeding that allow your body to allocate resources appropriately. When you're constantly eating, even healthy foods, you're keeping insulin levels elevated throughout the day. Chronic insulin elevation can interfere with the hormonal signals that trigger testosterone production. Some of the highest testosterone levels are observed in men who practice intermittent fasting or have longer periods between meals, allowing their hormonal systems to reset and optimize. The micronutrient picture gets even more complex when we consider vitamin D, magnesium, and vitamin K2, three nutrients that work synergistically to support testosterone production but are often deficient in even the cleanest diets. Vitamin D acts more like a hormone than a traditional vitamin and is directly involved in testosterone synthesis. Yet most people, even those eating perfectly, are deficient because vitamin D is primarily obtained through sun exposure, not food. Magnesium is involved in over 300 enzymatic reactions, including those that regulate testosterone production. However, magnesium levels in food have been declining for decades due to soil depletion, and many healthy foods like leafy greens, while containing magnesium, also contain compounds that can interfere with its absorption. Vitamin K2 is perhaps the most overlooked nutrient in discussions about testosterone. This vitamin, found primarily in fermented foods and organ meats, plays a crucial role in hormone regulation and has been shown to increase testosterone levels when supplemented appropriately. Most clean diets are virtually devoid of K2-rich foods. Now, let's address the elephant in the room: stress and cortisol. Even if you're eating a perfect diet, chronic stress can single-handedly destroy your testosterone levels. Here's why these matters for clean eaters specifically. Many people who are obsessive about their diet are also chronically stressed about their food choices. They're constantly worried about macros, meal timing, food quality, and whether they're doing everything perfectly. This perfectionist mindset around food creates a state of chronic stress that elevates cortisol levels. Cortisol and testosterone have an inverse relationship. When one goes up, the other typically goes down. The solution isn't to abandon healthy eating principles, but to understand that testosterone optimization requires a more nuanced approach. You need adequate amounts of dietary cholesterol and saturated fat, which means incorporating foods like eggs with the yolks, fatty cuts of meat, and even some full-fat dairy if you tolerate it well. You need to be strategic about fiber intake, aiming for that sweet spot of 25 to 35 grams per day rather than going overboard. You should consider reducing or eliminating soy products. Organ meats might sound unappetizing, but they're nutritional powerhouses for hormone production. If you can't stomach eating liver directly, there are high-quality organ meat supplements that can provide these nutrients in capsule form. Similarly, if you're not getting adequate sun exposure for vitamin D production, supplementation becomes crucial. The timing of your meals matters too. Most importantly, remember that nutrition is just one piece of the testosterone puzzle. Sleep quality, stress management, exercise selection, and even exposure to endocrine-disrupting chemicals all play crucial roles. A truly healthy lifestyle for testosterone optimization requires balancing all these factors, not just focusing obsessively on diet. The key takeaway here is that healthy eating for general wellness and eating for optimal testosterone production aren't always the same thing. So if you've been struggling with low testosterone despite eating clean, don't give up. Instead, take a more targeted approach that addresses the specific nutritional and lifestyle factors that support hormone production. Your future self will thank you for taking this more comprehensive view of health and nutrition.